In 17.1 work together on page 521, we're looking at a comparative income statement. As you can see, we've got the current year and prior year's data for all of these different accounts. The first thing we're being asked to do is find the component percentages for all of the ones that are missing. So all we're going to do is we're going to take the number and always divide by net sales. So to find cost of merchandise sold, we take 321,000 divided by 659. All of these will be rounded to the nearest tenth of a percent. So this first one is 48.7. Gross profit is 51.3. We're going to come down and find our next blank. For salary expense, this divided by net sales is 14.0. Total operating expenses is 30.0. Income from operations is 21.3. We're now going to do the same thing for the prior year, always dividing by the net sales amount, and this time it's 642,189.81. Cost of merchandise sold is 47.0. Gross profit 53.0. Salary expense is 14.8. Total operating expenses is 30.2, and income from operations is 22.8. So now that we have all of these percentages, we're going to come down to number 2, and it's asking us to compare selected vertical analysis ratios, identify whether each ratio indicates a favorable trend and is written management's target range. When we look at gross margin here is another name for gross profit. So I'm going to fill in gross profit right here so you know what you're comparing. So they're actually asking for the actual ratio for the current year. So if we come up to gross profit for the current year, it's 51.3. And the actual ratio for the prior year for gross profit was 53.0. Now we're being asked to identify if this is a favorable trend. So if in the prior year it was 53, but gross profit has now gone down to 51.3, that is not a favorable trend. But then management has identified any acceptable range between 50.4 and 52.0. So for the current year, we can say, yes, it's within the target range. However, it was still an unfavorable trend. For operating expenses, for the current year, it's 30.0. For the prior year, it's 30.2. Now, when dealing with expenses, last year it was 30.2, but then went down to 30. So because expenses went down, we're going to say, yes, this is a favorable trend. Management has identified 27 to 29 as an acceptable range. However, we are not within the acceptable range. Operating margin is another name for income from operations. So I'll write that here. So if we look at income from operations for the current year, it's 21.3, and for the prior year, it was 22.8. Now, if this is income, we see in the prior year it was 22, it went down to 21. So no, that is not favorable. And when we look at the acceptable range, 21.3 is just out of it, so that is a no as well.